I've brought this up. God, this will be the third or fourth time, but I obsess about this. So the little I did know about Stern when I was growing up and stuff, coming through the radio, you're like, he's the funniest man alive. And then you learn years later, I mean, it was hidden for a really long time that you and Fred and others, but mostly you and Fred, and mostly you over Fred probably, were handing him all those killer, crushing, perfectly timed lines. And as a comic, I don't know how you sleep at night hearing everyone talk about how funny Howard is when you know it came from your brain. Look, you still have to deliver the line and the timing and all that. I get that. But see, sorry, there's a long...
No.
I'm going the long way to this because...
When somebody's pulling your prick, you learn to shut up and enjoy it.
I understand that, but I ran a radio show for many, many years, and I also hung out with a lot of comics over the years, and I know how important it is to comics to be funny and to be the funniest in the room. That's all you guys do is try to be the funniest in the fucking room. Everything else you'll blow off. You'll blow off relationships and everything else, but if you're known as the funniest guy in the room, that is some kind of prestige as a stand-up comic that it means a lot to you. It's like an honor, a badge, what have you. And for you to sit there knowing that you were the one making him so fucking funny.
But it wasn't a bunch of comedians in a green room. It was a very
I understand
structured, finite situation. And when I walked in there, I assessed, not knowingly, but I had no desire to be him. I didn't want to carry the ball. I don't know if people want to have a podcast. I don't want to be the British soldier walking along. I want to be a guy in the woods taking shots at him.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and I was there and I was enjoying myself, and I realized, I think innately knew if I want in, I got to help him. And slowly but surely I'd give him something, and it was so it was years. It was gradual to the point where we were on a K-Rock. He got fired, then we were on K-Rock, and I was still on one day a week in the afternoon, but slowly but surely. And then all of a sudden we go to K-Rock, and I got a seat, and there's like a place where I can actually reach with the notes, and wow. And then I made millions of dollars, and we made millions of people laugh, and it was the greatest, no offense, one of the greatest radio shows ever. And in all that time, my job description, he called me up. I was on the beach, on the road in Virginia Beach. He said, "We're going to mornings. I need you 2 days a week to come in and do your thing with the notes." That was there was no discussion. There was no do your thing with the notes. And I came in, and 2 days a week, I was passing notes, and I went to 3 days, 4 days, 5 days a week. And he'd always say, I got to go to Tom and get more money. But because it was an A-B situation. He's hysterical on Monday, hysterical on Tuesday, and Jackie's not there on Wednesday. You call it pompous, but it wasn't. Because I didn't make him funny, I made him a little funnier. And I always use the same analogy. If you're a sprinter in the Olympics and you run the 100-yard dash in 10:2, you're a world-class sprinter.
Yeah.
If you got a little wind at your back and you run it in 10.0, you're the fastest in the world.
Yeah.
A little bit of wind on your back can make all the difference. And he could be so pompous and rude and mean, because if he ended it with a button, with a punchline, and go out on a laugh that
I get all that.
Diffused the whole thing.
I get
and
it all.
He learned that quick, and it was like, and I didn't care. And once I was there, another thing.
Yeah.
Once I'm there passing notes, like Fred caught on, and he'd write a little thing on a little scrap of paper and hand it to me, and I'd have to rewrite it. And after however long of that, I said, "Fred," and I put a stack of paper in front of him. I said, "Fred, here's your paper. Here's your Sharpie. Write it big and write it neat. So if you pass it to me, I can put it to him, because by the time you give it to me, I rewrite it. We left the fucking ship at the dock." All right? And so all of a sudden, not only was I making him funny, but Fred had a conduit to get his jokes to him. And so Howard was not only three funny people working together, they were three distinct, different senses of humor. Because Fred's from Pluto, I'm from Punchlines, and he's like a broad guy. So you didn't know where the line was going to come from or where it was going to go. One of the greatest days of my life, the guys from the Lampoon were huge fans from the word go because it was, groundbreaking and rude and crazy. And this guy, Mark Rubert, was one of the senior editors, and he called up and said, he's a big fan. I said, well, let me take you to Friars Club. So we go to the Friars Club, and he said, the show is the greatest show. We all get just a charge out of it, blah, blah, blah. And he said, your laugh is so great. And he said, well, I'm not just laughing. I don't know how aware he was, but this is very, very early on. And he goes, but I'm helping. He said, what are you doing? I said, well, you don't know, but I'm sitting there and I'm writing lines and passing them to him. He goes, bullshit. And I said, no, we're sitting in the Friars' dining room. I remember like yesterday, I have every note I ever wrote. They're in my mother's attic.
We saw it
every note,
on the last episode.
Every note that I wrote that he said.
Yeah.
The rest of it was on the floor, like blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So here's I'm not talking about those loose leaves. I'm talking my mother's attic.
You got more stuff?
No, all the notes.
Right.
From 15 years that he ever said, every day stack. Cases and cases and cases in my mother's attic. If you told me a day and a joke, I could look. So I took out that day's stack and put it in front of Mark, and he started leafing through them. And he goes, he's looking, and he's looking one after. He says, this is every fucking funny thing he said today. I said, no, but it's a lot of them. You know what I mean? I'm like, they say, oh, you write everything. I didn't write everything he said, but I wrote some of the things he said.